scholarship for athletics. So you're obviously
Yeah.
super high achiever in athletics as well. What was your sport?
Yeah, I didn't used to be this fat. I was a lot more attractive years ago and athletic. I've completely lost it. I ran track and I played football my senior year, which is a long and short story and funny story. But yeah, but when I moved to the States, obviously I got involved into athletics because I quickly figured out that it was going to be my way to pay for school. And obviously, it's my parents gifted. They did everything for us growing up. But ultimately, life is gonna life, right? And ultimately,
Mhm.
I got to an age at a very young age where I learned that I need to start making decisions that are going to place me in a place where I'm at least favorable, or I have an opportunity, or I have a shot to really pursuing what I want to pursue and becoming successful. So when I first moved here, by seventh grade, I found out this whole thing about like athletics being a thing in the United States. And obviously I was involved in sports because it kept me out of trouble and it kept me busy, and it teaches you discipline and all these different things, and ultimately it also helped me make friends. But like from seventh grade, because sixth grade I didn't really do any sports because I just moved there. I like so much stuff is coming so fast, right?
Mhm.
So didn't even
Sure.
do any sports. It wasn't until like one of the last days of the school year that I found out that we actually had a track team. And I literally went out there. I wasn't even signed up, but then they were like, dang, this kid is fast, right? And I always knew I was fast growing up. Um, so from seventh grade all the way through, like I would say, um, I would probably say like my senior year in high school. My parents maybe came to, I would say like maybe 10 athletic events
Hmm.
from seventh grade all the way through like I graduated high school. And it's funny because when they started coming to my athletic events was actually when they started realizing that, hey, this kid's actually pretty good. And they heard it from the other parents that your
Yeah.
son is really good. And they're like, my son plays sports? They had no idea because I literally would cut grass and mow lawn and stuff like that so I could get money to sign myself up for like football, or like get
Mm.
money to sign myself up for like basketball and all these different things. And I had a best friend. His dad actually owned a basketball club at the time for AAU, and so they would obviously let me be on those tournaments and stuff for free. So if it wasn't during the school year where like it's essentially like I'm playing for the school or whatever it is, obviously I had to figure out my way to get into the clubs. But my parents did a wonderful job at letting me obviously doing these things because they ultimately could have said no, and they definitely did say no a lot of times, especially when it has to do with education. If you know anything about African parents, it's like you can only be a doctor, a president, a governor, a senator, or a lawyer. It's like,
Mm.
or like a crazy successful scientist that cures cancer or something, right? It's like the expectations is ridiculous. Ultimately, obviously, I am none of those things, right? But ultimately, they did a really good job at like at least providing a soft landing and understanding when it had to do with athletics. But yeah, but I was fortunate enough to um, be at the right place at the right time, and perform well enough to be to catch the attention of Coach Ronnie Harrison, who's actually the coach over at Berkeley right now,
Okay.
at Cal. And he was the coach at Portland State then, and he really saw way more in me than just an athlete. He saw a young man that actually had a very promising future, and had a good head on his shoulders, but just needed a chance and needed guidance, and obviously needed to be surrounded with elements and people that would teach him discipline. And I, till this day, Coach Harrison is somebody that I always like hit. Like I'll text out of the blue, I'll call out of the blue because going to Portland State changed my life. I always say this all the time. Had I not got that scholarship to go to Portland State, I don't think things would have panned out the way it did. Mainly because Eugene was a small town, and it's a place where people don't become anything. It's
Mm.
like the classmates that I went to that started working at McDonald's when they're in high school, they stayed there like their whole lives. Like they're like
Interesting.
super managers now, right? So like it's a town where you can actually work at a coffee shop and you make a living and you just live, a regular life. It doesn't mean you actually are able to afford anything, but you can rent somewhere and have roommates and stuff, and that's normal there. personally, I saw way more for myself. You know, I saw big dreams. I saw entrepreneurship, obviously, and I definitely saw like, you know, pursuing my happiness.